It's Thursday, July 24th, 2025. The walls are closing in on Obama. No Epstein grand jury transcripts for you. And we're finally getting to the bottom of Brigitte Macron. Next on the AM Update.
Now, President Obama, Hillary Clinton, John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey, and others, including their mouthpieces in the media, knowingly lied as they repeated the contrived narrative that was created in this January 2017 intelligence community assessment with high confidence as though it were fact.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard's opening salvo during a news conference at the White House yesterday, where she unveiled more information about the direct connections between the Obama administration and high levels of that administration concocting the Russia collusion hoax. She answered a question about whether or not she believes any criminal wrongdoing was done.
Justice, I am not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people, our republic, and an attempt to undermine President Trump's administration.
The Senate Intelligence Committee spent several years looking into this and unanimously agreed in a bipartisan fashion, Secretary of State Rubio was a member of that committee, that there was no political interference. There was a years-long Justice Department investigation into this as well that also concluded no political interference. So help us, from a 50,000-foot level, explain, what do you now have that refutes those two?
Sure. I will encourage you, in my role as the Director of National Intelligence, my job, again, as I said when I came into this role, was to make sure that we are telling the truth to the American people and that we are ensuring that the intelligence community is not being politicized. So I'm not asking you to take my word for it. I'm asking you and the media to conduct honest journalism.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any arrests from this. My stance on anything involving the intelligence apparatus, and appreciate Tulsi Gabbard for declassifying some documents that were previously not declassified. But when it comes to actually prosecuting the deep state, you're just going to have to show me. I'm moving to Missouri. You're going to have to show me. Until that happens, until I see, James Clapper, John Brennan, even Barack Obama in handcuffs, I'm not going to believe that any of these people, and I love the Trump administration so far. We'll talk more about that later. Love the Trump administration so far, but even these people, I just don't trust them. This is coming off like some sort of attempt to just create news cycles and nothing else. That's basically it. Having said that, though, the Justice Department announced the formation of a strike force to assess evidence publicized by Tulsi Gabbard. Said in a statement, quote, "The department takes all alleged weaponization of the intelligence community with the utmost seriousness. Upon the formation of the strike force," Attorney General Pam Bondi stated, "The Department of Justice is proud to work with my friend, Director Gabbard, and we are grateful for her partnership in delivering accountability for the American people." So, more declassified documents, the formation of a strike force from the Department of Justice in prosecuting the Russian collusion hoax. A federal judge in Florida on Wednesday denied the Department of Justice's request to unseal grand jury transcripts regarding deceased financier, convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Last week, the Department of Justice requested the court to unseal the documents and transfer the case to New York, where Epstein was indicted after a grand jury investigation in 2019. The Department of Justice had cited extensive public interest and transparency to the American public in its request. So that judge says no Epstein grand jury documents, transcripts for you. Over in the House, Speaker Mike Johnson got a little testy with a reporter who asked why he recessed his body. That would be his chamber, I should probably say, to be more precise. Why he recessed his chamber until September to avoid actually taking a vote on whether or not to release all the Epstein files. Here's Mike Johnson.
Absurd. I mean, obviously, we've seen the conservatives shut down the House floor routinely. You saw that they had to pull the rule because of fear of Epstein votes.
No, we don't have any fear. No, hold on. No, Reese, no. There's no fear here. No, there's no fear. There's no fear. We're not going to allow the Democrats to use this as a political cudgel. Remember, they had 4 years. Hold on. The Biden administration held the Epstein files for 4 years. Not a single one of these Democrats or anyone in Congress made any peep about that at all. They could have brought a discharge petition at any point in the last 4 years. They chose not to. They waited until President Trump was elected. I think that's very suspect. And I will not allow the House to be drug into political gamesmanship.
The promises that Republicans made to voters over Jeffrey Epstein, why not more of a sense of urgency? Why not just hold a vote today?
There's no point in having a vote today because the administration is already doing everything within their power to release them. They've gone to the grand jury. They've requested the courts to unseal the documents.
That obviously happened before we got the news that the judge said no Epstein docs for you. Now, he is right, of course. This is just being made into a political game by Democrats who had all the power and will, if they wanted to, necessary to actually do what they're trying to do now. And as I understand it, some of these efforts in the House of Representatives to unseal the Epstein documents, they would actually unseal everything, including some of the heinous content that Jeffrey Epstein is convicted to have been producing. So I just... Something shifted in the last week and a half. I can't put my finger on it, but it seems like maybe just the honeymoon is over now with the second Trump administration. And believe me, I'm still very, very happy overall with what they've done. But beginning with this Epstein story, it just seems like all the positive momentum that they'd been building has just come to a screeching halt. Well, President Trump was at some sort of artificial intelligence forum yesterday where he signed some executive orders streamlining some of the processes used to develop artificial intelligence. And he said he wants a non-biased AI and AI algorithms.
One of Biden's worst executive orders established toxic diversity, equity, and inclusion ideology as a guiding principle of American AI development. So you immediately knew that was the end of your development. But the American people do not want woke Marxist lunacy in the AI models, and neither do other countries. They don't want it. They don't want anything to do with it. That's why on day one, I very proudly terminated Joe Biden's order on woke AI effective immediately. You don't have any of those crazy rules. Crazy rules. And in just a moment, I will be signing an order banning the federal government from procuring AI technology that has been infused with partisan bias or ideological agendas such as critical race theory, which is ridiculous. And from now on, the U.S. government will deal only with AI that pursues truth, fairness, and strict impartiality.
Good luck with that. Whoever is programming any program, any algorithm, any AI model is going to have bias. That's the human condition. But at least the Trump administration seems open to at least the pursuit of truth and impartiality. Well, French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte Macron on Wednesday filed a defamation lawsuit against American commentator Candace Owens over the quote-unquote outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched fictions she's pushed online, including her claim that Brigitte was born a man. Owens, according to the complaint, used this false statement to promote her independent platform, gain notoriety, and make money. The complaint said, quote, Miss Owens' campaign of defamation was plainly designed to harass and cause pain to us and our families and to garner attention and notoriety. We gave her every opportunity to back away from these claims, but she refused. It's our earnest hope that this lawsuit will set the record straight and end this campaign of defamation once and for all. The complaint was filed in Delaware Superior Court and spans over 200 pages and includes 22 counts of defamation, false light, and defamation by implication. The Macrons are seeking damages, though no amount is included. Couple of reactions here. One might surprise you. Number one, they're French citizens. How are they suing for defamation? I mean, it's the French president, and Candace Owens is an American citizen, so that's an interesting thing. Secondly is, you go, girl. You go, Candace. Go get them. I'm sure this discovery process, if it gets that far, I'm sure this discovery process is going to be a humdinger. Right? Right? Yes. Finally, before the break, this is a Maine state representative by the name of Dika Dalek. Off to a great start here. Talking, and she's from Somalia, by the way, but she's a state representative in the great state of Maine, talking about things and stuff.
Policies, how can the politics in Somalia can be, resonate what we have here in the United States, the democracy that we have. How can you help us, be a better country and build back what we used to have back in long time ago? So hopefully we will be able to help our country, our former country, Somalia, and policy.
Whoopsie-doopsie. That's a Freudian slip of all Freudian slips. I mean, why is she on state TV in Maine talking about why, what are they called? Mainites? Mainers? Need to help build Somalia back better. And then she drops the mask, figuratively, of course, saying her goal is to help, quote unquote, our country of Somalia. I mean, our former country of Somalia. Great stuff. Did John Kennedy, Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, did he faint? Did he have some sort of medical episode yesterday on Fox? We'll talk about that. Also, a sentencing and a case a lot of people have been watching. That's coming up next.
I'm sure Jesus loves them, but everybody else thinks everybody else.
That is the moment Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana stopped talking mid-sentence live on Fox Business. People speculated whether or not he was having a medical episode. Nope. Problem with his earpiece. I guess his earpiece malfunctioned and he was getting a lot of noise in his ear. He came back on, I think, a segment later to clarify what had happened. Now, a lot of people have been watching this case. Judge Stephen Hippler has ordered Bryan Coburger to serve 4 consecutive life sentences without parole for the brutal stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students nearly 3 years ago. Coburger declined to make a statement at the sentencing hearing. One person said, "Surprise, surprise," in the courtroom. Another person said, "Coward." Wednesday's hearing gave the families of Zana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Kaylee Goncalves the opportunity to describe the anguish they felt that since their loved ones were killed in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. The victim impact statements lasted about 2 hours. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over at HHS says he's going to officially remove the mercury-based preservative thimerosal from all flu shots distributed in the U.S. RFK Jr. formally adopted a June recommendation from a key government agency vaccine panel called the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or ACIP, against influenza shots containing thimerosal. Earlier that month, of course, as you know, and we talked about at the time, Kennedy gutted that panel and restacked it with members including some vaccine skeptics. Just kind of a team of rivals there. The decision affects about 5% of the U.S. flu vaccine supply. That includes some multi-dose forms of Sanofi's Fluzone and 2 shots from biotech company CSL Seqirus. The rest of the nation's flu shots were thimerosal-free during the last season of the virus, according to CDC data. And now here's this. One of the lone bright spots in the Department of Justice would be one Harmeet Dhillon. Harmeet Dhillon, of course, is the civil rights attorney for the U.S. Department of Justice. Now, civil rights has become synonymous with basically diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, she testified in front of the U.S. Senate yesterday, saying that she's not going to rest until every single root of DEI is plucked from the federal government.
Just last week, I reached the milestone of my first 100 days in office. And under the leadership of Attorney General Pam Bondi, we have been busy implementing President Trump's bold agenda for ending illegal DEI for all Americans. I will highlight some of our work for you today. Here are some of the ways we have taken steps to end DEI in education. First, as a result of multifaceted investigations into illegal DEI-based discrimination, harassment, and abuse at major so-called elite universities and colleges, the division is now in discussions with many educational institutions to end all unlawful DEI programs throughout these schools, including in their law, medical, nursing, and other specialty disciplines. Second, we are actively investigating several prominent colleges and universities regarding rampant anti-Semitism, resulting in discussions aimed at ending anti-Semitic abuse on college campuses nationwide. Third, starting in April, we open investigations into 50 major universities, 16 top law schools, and 7 medical schools by sending letters requesting any changes to admissions processes post Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard. We are also investigating racially discriminatory admissions practices at selective public high schools. Fourth, we are engaged in several lawsuits and investigations into Title IX discrimination against the rights and safety of women and girls in classrooms, athletic fields, dormitories, and other facilities. As a result of our efforts, several institutions have reversed course already. Fifth, we are investigating the University of California for its race and sex-based discriminatory hiring practices under UC's 2030 capacity plan. The Civil Rights Division has also acted in various employment-related matters. First, we are investigating Minnesota's hiring and employment practices. State policies appear to require agencies to engage in illegal race and sex-based hiring in violation of Title VII. Second, we are investigating the Hennepin County Attorney's Office policy that requires race-based decision-making in plea agreements. The investigation is ongoing, though that office has refused to cooperate with our investigation. Third, we're investigating Rhode Island regarding its affirmative action plan that sets race-based hiring goals across its government. In light of Rhode Island's refusal to cooperate, we're assessing our next steps under Title VII. Fourth, we're investigating Chicago's racially discriminatory hiring practices permeating its government. This is just a small fraction of the extensive portfolio of actions we have taken toward ending DEI in my first 100 days in office. Every day, my team assesses new opportunities to combat invidious racial discrimination, from diligently pursuing investigations to drafting and filing federal civil rights lawsuits. The Civil Rights Division strives to protect the civil rights of all Americans against illegal DEI initiatives. In his famous dissent in Plessy versus Ferguson, Justice John Marshall Harlan wrote that the law regards man as man and takes no account of his surrounding or of his color when his civil rights are guaranteed by the supreme law of the land are involved. Nearly 130 years later, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson echoed this sentiment in Ames versus Ohio Department of Youth Services, writing that the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination against any individual because of such individuals' race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. While the division's jurisdiction is governed by statute, we work closely with the chair of the EEOC and heads of other executive branch agencies to combat illegal DEI initiatives and to uphold the civil rights of all Americans. With these efforts underway, Senators, the goal is clear. Either DEI will end on its own, or we will kill it. I look forward to exploring ways to bolster the division's enforcement authority so that we can completely root out discrimination in all its forms.
That is Department of Justice Attorney for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dhillon, one of the lone bright spots in the Department of Justice, in my estimation, so far this year. And she said she's already opened up investigations into multiple deep blue, deeply Marxist-run counties and areas. Chicago, Hennepin County, Minnesota. Hennepin County is Minneapolis, by the way. Rhode Island, Minnesota at large. You know, I said that civil rights has become synonymous with diversity, equity, and inclusion, all in the name of anti-discrimination. Well, as I think Harmeet Dhillon is proving, once you've got the power, anti-discrimination cuts both ways, and she's doing something about it. All right, let's talk about our poll of the week. I asked you, what do you think we should grade the Trump administration? What is the grade of the Trump administration? Gave you 4 options, kind of made them polarizing as possible. Here are the results. In 4th place, F-, 3.1%. Say the Trump administration has deserved an F-. In 2nd place, a fail at 6.3%. In 3rd place, A+ at 20.3%. And in 1st place, pass. Just a pass-fail exercise at 70.3%. Apologies for the noise in the background. We've got a very squeaky toy at my feet. All right, let's go to some of your responses. Scampy Coco says, pass with a C outside of immigration. It's not looking good. Some poor decisions as the support of President Ahmad al-Sharaa and not, that's the new Syrian president, and not acknowledging the Syrian Druze and Christian massacre, not demanding Congress and Senate enact the DOJ cuts and recommendations. Add to that the non-support and resistance of the Congress and Senate to pass his agenda. They're slow walking all of his appointees. Why? It's a repeat of his first term. Well, Scampy, I guess if you're going with the total results, but a lot of what you just said there, outside of recognition of the Syrian Druze and Christian massacre, that's all Congress stuff. That's stuff that President Trump can't directly control. But if you're just grading regardless and you're just being a tough grader, then I understand how you got to that conclusion. Henry Reardon says the fumbling of Epstein, the increased spending, and the money and weapons to Ukraine really hurt the second half of these first 6 months. The fumbling of this Obama scandal will likely seal the deal. Here's the thing, Henry, they cannot fumble this. This can't just be talking points and some red meat. Can't be that. You can't send a director of national intelligence out there and allege treasonous activity from the former president 2 presidents ago, Barack Obama, and then not arrest anybody. Foximus Maximus says it would have been an A+ if not for the Epstein files cluster. That's kind of where I am. Be Happy says B+. They have had a couple of missteps. Charles says A+, comparing my expectations to current reality. Hey, Charles, ray of sunshine. I appreciate that. And finally, Jim, the lack of accountability for pretty much anything, his abysmal endorsements across the board, and his attacks on decent guys like Massey and Paul, and refusal to ignore the courts, bring his performance from a solid A to a B for me. I voted pass. So how did I vote in this? Because I don't give him an A+, but I don't think it's a failure either. I voted pass as well. So that's the Bowl of the Week. Tomorrow is Ask or Tell Me Anything. We haven't had one of these for almost a month. You can ask me any question you want. Tell me any news story you think needs covered on the AM Update. Go look for the pinned post at Real AM Update on X. Make your submissions. Have a wonderful Thursday. Back at it again tomorrow. I'm Aaron McIntyre, and this is the AM Update.